welcome back to Good Enough Photography. Today I'm going to be showing you how to turn this image into a similar style to a cartoon. Now, it's not going to be perfect because I'm using no AI and only Photoshop, but it's a lot better than AI because AI is soulless and a horrible, horrible thing. So, before we get into that, this is Good Enough Photography. I post hopefully weekly. Mondays at 4 o'clock, I post tutorials of how to edit photos. I have a website at goodenoughphotography.com. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Now let's get into it. So the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that your image is around 300 pixels, 3,000, not 300, sorry, tall. You can do this by just going to image size, and scaling it up if you have to, but yeah. So, the first step I will be doing is not completely necessary if you have a pretty, plain background, but since my background is kind of, a little complicated, I'm going to do it. So what you want to do is you want to make 2 duplicates of your first layer. Okay, you can honestly just make 1, but I always like having a duplicate of my first layer, the untouched photo. So for one of them, what you want to do is you want to make sure you have the little selector thing, and you want to go to select and go to subject. Now, it's going to try to select your subject. Now it might miss spaces that you like. So what you have to do with our little tool is you got to go in and you kind of got to click around until you get it. Come on, buddy. There we go. And keep going until we get to where we would like. So I think this is pretty good for our subject, so I'm going to make that into a layer mask. See? Sorry, I have 2 images. See? Layer mask. Now what you would like to do is do the same exact thing, but with the background. Making sure to only get to the background. If it does touch a place you don't want it to, you can make and I'm doing it on the wrong layer. Yippee! Okay, so never mind. Do it on the right layer. Fun fact. So that'll make this a lot more easier for you. This might take a little longer to load than a normal photo since we do have to make it larger. It seems that the cutout filter works with larger photos, so yeah. Well, it works with small photos too. I'm just meant works better. So what you want to do is make that into a mask as well. See? But we don't want that leaf there. So we're going to go to subtract from mask. And we're literally just cutting out the leaf. Come on, buddy. Now to double check, we can turn that on and then we go to add to mask and we cover up all the areas. Perfect. We now have 2 masks. So what you'd like to do is separately convert these into smart objects. Separately. So that we have 2 layers. We have a background layer and we have a foreground layer. So let's start with our foreground layer. What you would like to do is go to Filter. Stylize. So Filters has a bunch of things. Stylize is one of them. And we want oil paint right now. So, you want to make sure that you have lighting off. It just makes this easier. And you want to do 10 for all of them. Now, this is kind of like the only filter. Because most of the time I'll say values are up to preference, your own image, stuff like that. But with this one, you just kind of want it really intense. So, yeah. So, boom. First step, done. Now what you want to do is go to Filter and Filter Gallery. The filter gallery has a whole bunch of filters in it. If it'll ever load. Okay, so first what you want to do is you want to zoom out your image. Now it is going to look a little weird because you have the background gone, but it's fine. So, there's artistic, which does artistic stuff to it. Brush strokes, which adds Brush texture makes it look like a brush. Distort distorts the image like glass or other things. Stylize, oh sorry, sketch makes it look like a sketch, you know, like color, not color, like pencils, charcoal, stuff like that. Stylize only does this thing where like here, it kind of like makes the edge glow. That's the only thing it does. So yeah, texture just adds texture. So what we want to do right now is go into poster edges. And we want full edges. And let's put on, okay, sorry, I forgot to mention that edge thickness is how thick the edge is of the little line. Edge intensity is how much line there will be. And posterization does this thing. So we want some posterization right now. Not too much posterization. That was too much. Then we want a little more edge intensity. Maybe not that much, because it is making the leaves look a little funky, but we also want the berries to be pretty well defined. So you got win some and lose some type situation, but it's okay. So now we have our defined berries. Now what we want to do is cover that up with the cut up filter. Trust me, it works better this way. I would show you if it would load. There we go. Cut out. It's loading. Okay, so we should have like, you know, like 8 edges. So cutout kind of makes it look like paper, you know, like if you're cutting out paper to make an image. So number of levels is like how many pieces, how many colors. Edge simplicity is kind of just like how simple the cuts are, because if you go full, it's like, whoa, that's a lot. And we don't want that. Oh shoot, you can actually see where it missed some parts that cut out. But that's fine, you won't really see it in the finished results anyway. I mean, I didn't even notice it before, so it's fine. Okay, well now I see it because it's carved into my brain, but it's fine. So what you want to play around, you want to get a balance between like realism and non-realism. So just kind of play around with it, you know, the deal. Well, you don't know the deal because you've never done this, sorry. Edge of fidelity, it helps with stuff a little bit. So like, here if I make it really small, you can see there's like not much like little hairs on the berry, and then if I make it really big, you can see that it's like more defined. So we want it a little larger, so I'm gonna keep it up there. Okay, then we're gonna go back to filter gallery. We are gonna zoom out once again. And we are gonna go back to poster edges. And we want this a little less intense. And we don't need posterization. So on this one. Sorry for whispering for some reason. Okay, so you just want a tiny bit, because we will be adding more later, but we're gonna add a tiny bit later, so like, you know, you gotta like balance it out a little bit. And yeah, so that is our foreground layer completed. Now, what we like to do is go to background copy, so you can see what we've done. And yes, I understand that that's there and that, yeah. Okay, so now what we are going to do is make sure you have the correct image selected, and we want to go to filter all the way down to blur. Now there's a bunch of blurs, but we want Gaussian blur or Gaussian, and we want to blur it, so we are going to blur it. And it will make this, but we can always fix that later by putting a black outline, a black fill layer underneath, which will add an outline, but you don't want it too big. Like, I think this is a little too big. So you do want to be careful. I mean, you don't have to make this layer mask if you truly don't want to, but I feel like it adds a nice touch. It's a little nicer, so I think I'm going to do like that, maybe 19. I don't know, it is a smart filter, so we can always change it later. Now we want to go to stylize, oil paint, And wait for that to do stuff. Okay. Make sure it's at 10 again. Sorry, I forgot to mention that part. Now we would like to go to filter. Filter gallery. Zoom out a little bit. Go into, where is it? Cut out. Wait for it to load. Now it is going to look a little funky. So, just make sure it's kind of around here. You want as many layers as you can, and you don't want it too simple. So just kind of, might change a thing or two, but overall, yeah. Keep it around that. And you're like, oh, that looks awful, but we'll fix it. So we want to go to filter and blur again. And see, it's looking better again. Now, you can also always just put a fill layer underneath to make like a pure solid layer of color if you would like that. I just don't like that with this image. It's completely optional. Now I'm actually going to go into layer. Where is it? New fill layer. Solid color. Okay. And I am just going to do 0, 0, 0. Perfect. Now we have black. And you can see that it kind of fills in those areas, where we had like the blur spillage. It's probably more effective if I went back into this, went back into the blur. You get the point. So, then we keep going, and we would like to press on all of these. And you want to hold the control button down to select. And then convert to a smart object, which just merges everything together. Then, what you would like to do is go back into filter. Filter gallery. If it will ever load. Then what you would like to do is zoom out again. Go back to poster edges. You see it kind of ends. Now, you do want to be careful. I do think my leaves got a little muddy here, but okay. I think it looks okay because I like the cool effect. It's up to personal preference, but it looks cartoonish, right? But you can always turn up edge thickness. I might turn it up a little more. Maybe turn up intensity if you would like. You want to be careful with intensity or else it can get really intense. That's what the thing means, but yeah. So, I would say that looks cartoonish, right? Right? I'm not losing it. That looks okay in my mind. Now, I could probably improve upon this tutorial later down the line, but so far I think this looks pretty good. So, yet again, you can always tweak around with filters, the deal, play around with stuff. Blah, 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 blah. But don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out my other tutorials. I have a playlist of all of them. And have a great day.